Does it surprise you to know that your county is on the list of one of the hardest hit places in America?
When this was going on, I can't say it was surprising at that time, but right now, no, I'm not surprised because it was happening so frequently till I'm not shocked.
We wouldn't be visiting this place if it weren't for these next unfortunate facts. There were 33 people here who died of COVID-19 during the height of the pandemic, making the death rate here the 12th deadliest of any county in the country.
I left my home in Georgia.
This is Terrell County, Georgia, the birthplace of Otis Redding, whose blues songs are the pride of the people. It is far away from the slick streets and fancy restaurants of any big city, home to about 9,000 people, most of them black and most of them poor. Across America, there is a new signpost on a very tragic road. More than 250,000 people in this country have now died from COVID-19. ABC News has joined our ABC-owned stations in cities across the country, taking a closer look at the data, and it underlines the 100 counties in the country with the highest rate of death, many of them rural and poor. The hardest hit, Gove County, Kansas.
We have lost a few people. And it's been hard because we have cared for them for so long, and we truly do love them.
And right behind them, Gerald County, South Dakota.
We know in rural America already has a capacity problem when it comes to healthcare. There is just not the same level of access as there is in urban hubs. When you add in COVID, which has put a real strain on the economy and has ultimately resulted in many healthcare systems closing, that further exacerbates the access issues that we have in this country.
Both Randolph and Terrell counties in rural Georgia are so terribly high on the list that the ministers here had trouble clearing the red clay from their shoes. They often had to lead more than one funeral a day.
This town was shattered it was shattered.
One of Reverend Weston's ministers, Polly Ann Tolbert, got sick in March and died a few weeks later. It was a double funeral. The coronavirus killed her husband, Mr. Benjamin Tolbert, too. The Reverend was set to deliver the eulogy about an hour before the graveside service when the phone rang in his pocket.
And I get a call that my first cousin had passed COVID-19. He was like my big brother. We were raised up in the house together, and he was that person that gave me strength. And I get a call, and we didn't know he was ill. He became ill quite quickly.
He says this is how it was for months, people managing their own grief as they were helping neighbors get through theirs. And giving a hug or a shoulder to cry on felt deadly.
If I were in your position, I would also be questioning God. Like, why? Why is this happening?
When death comes into our ranks, especially those who we love so much and we're very close to, that's some questionings. There's some questions that might come up. But because of that spiritual belief and faith that we have in Christ, we know that weeping may endure for a night, but joy is coming in the morning. But to tell you that I didn't question some things myself, I wouldn't be telling the truth.
Your faith was tested.
It was definitely my faith that was tested.
Your faith in God.
Still being tested, but during that time, it was a task.
Latasha Taylor says she's being tested too. Her aunt is Miss Polly Ann, and after burying the Tolberts, she had to bury her own mother just 2 months later.
They were ripped away in an instant, so quickly. And you just don't know how to come to grips with it.
What do you say to all of those people who want to say that these deaths are made up?
Well, I can absolutely tell you that when I looked at 3 death certificates, they all had some relation to COVID-19, and people died. Now, I've never seen anything else in my 41 years of being alive that has taken people out like that. So there has to be some truth to it.
She says the coronavirus has broken her heart into pieces and believes that if her mother lived in a big city with access to better health care, she might still be alive today.
Does it feel like the rest of the country forgets about rural areas?
Absolutely. You know, it's kind of like we don't exist. We're off the map.